Hello there. Kotiyagala and Bogawantalawa are two different plantations having their own tea processing centers located in Bogwantalawa Golden Tea Valley. Several years ago, I have visited Bogwantalawa town, but when I visited the area for a specific purpose recently, I imagined the town must have been expanded by leaps and bounds. To my utter surprise, only the population seemed to have grown bigger with hardly any remarkable growth in everything else which mattered. The road was dusty and the town looked small as ever. A few more buildings have sprung up and remarkably, there were a number of three-wheeler taxis and hiring vans to be seen parked on the stands allocated to them. Obviously, public bus transport has remained poor as before and substituted by privately owned three-wheelers and vans. To make my journey easier, after Doinon, made off straight to Kotiyagala. The estate is very close to Bogwantalawa town and is about 22 kilometers from Hatton railway station. Bogwantalawa Valley, also known as the Golden Valley, has some of the best known well-maintained tea plantations in the Upcountry. Kotiyagala, the name means Leopard Rock, is one of the most outstanding and reputed tea plantations in the valley. It is situated in the upper reaches at an elevation of about 5,000 feet or 1,524 meters, an ideal height for high-grown tea to flourish. During the period when estates in the area were under State Plantations Corporation, Kotiyagala Group had an extent of 830 hectares under tea. After most estates in the valley were taken over by Bogwantalawa plantations, several estates in the area including Kotiyagala was taken under the ownership and regrouped. Presently, I am talking about 7 or 8 years ago, Kotiyagala Group had an extent of 483 hectares. Kotiyagala Tea Processing Center is well known for its orthodox and CTC teas. They have constantly fetched the highest prices at the Colombo tea auction and are much sought after by tea enthusiasts around the world, as the teas are known for their full-bodied flavor. In tea manufacture terms, the liquor possesses fullness and strength with aroma and a coppery color. The estate is surrounded by jungles rich in flora and fauna. It is said wildlife such as leopard, wild boar, elk, deer and variety of colorful birds are found in them. Time and resources did not allow me to make further explorations of the jungle, which I would have loved to have made. Kotiyagala has a dispensary on the estate and patients with more serious problems are sent to the nearest government hospital at Bogwantalawa town. The factory has some modern amenities for its workers. I even saw a small training center for information technology close to the factory. The workers I saw seemed to be carefree and cheerful and seemed to be happy with the work they were doing. According to history, Bogwantalawa Valley was a jungle where there was no human settlement until about 1843. The first jungle clearing of the valley had taken place at Kotiyagala during the period and within 50 acres were planted with coffee. After tea replaced coffee, the first tea factory was constructed on this estate. The factory uses hydroelectric power and has a standby Caterpillar generator for use during hydropower failures. I hardly notice any interesting features in the factory even though it has been producing some of the best tea in the country. My journey to such a great factory was not very remarkable from my own perspective, but I was more than compensated by savoring on the beautiful hills and valleys everywhere my eyes could travel. Due to a huge red tape hanging around the beautiful factory, I only met Mr. Javardhana, the factory officer, outside the factory and was able to get only some basic details. Without wasting too much time, I then proceeded to hit my next destination, Bogwantalawa Estate. Bogwantalawa Estate is situated about 4 kilometers from Bogwantalawa town. The estate is about 22 kilometers from Hatton. The estate is about 22 kilometers from Hatton, the closest railway station. Muskelly and Upcountry towns are about 20 kilometers from here. The estate was part of Ceylon Group under the State Plantations Corporation but was regrouped after many of the Bogwantalawa Valley estates were taken over by Bogwantalawa Plantations. I continued to explore the Golden Valley and reached Bogwantalawa Estate from Kotiyagala. This tea plantation too is enshrouded with misty mountains. The single estate has an extent of 303 hectares of tea in an elevation ranging from 4,000 feet or 1,219 meters to 5,000 feet or 1,524 meters above sea level. more than 50% of its tea is vegetatively propagated. Tinchin is a division of the plantation and is known to be the highest yielding tea garden in the entire valley. The name Tinchin is derived from a village in China from where the first tea seedlings came to Ceylon. There is a famous bungalow on Tinchin which belongs to Ceylon tea trails. Bogwantalawa factory produces an outstandingly tasteful tea. This single estate tea garden is enshrouded with misty mountains. Leaves plucked from these fields give such a high quality product unique to this factory. The factory has received some awards for outstanding achievements in the recent past, which the factory officer was proud to show me. According to Ferguson's directory, in 1909, Bogwantalawa estate with 540 acres under tea belonged to Colonel F.F. Mackenzie and managed by Colombo Commercial Company Limited. The present factory officer at that time, Mr. Raja Kulendran, who has been looking after the factory for the past 10 years, he had everything in his fingertips and was very helpful during my short visit to the factory. Finally, I left Bogwantalawa with pleasant memories of the sheer beauty of its environment still lingering in my mind. It was a hectic but fruitful day for me and decided to return from Bogwantalawa to Hatton, where I stayed at a guest house for the night. On my way back, I was sad to see one of the tea factories, Ceylon, which was producing high quality tea years ago, has been shut down and left almost in ruins due to unknown reason. It looked like no tea production has been carried out here for quite a long time. I have spoken about Ceylon in my episode on Line On too. I attribute a few reasons for a productive tea factory to be shut down, in my own opinion, with the knowledge I gained over several years of experience in the tea industry. A. If the prices fetched were too low, resulting in the estate running at a loss. B. Insufficient leaf coming in for manufacture. In such an event, sending the leaf to another factory could cut down the cost of production. C. When the factory machinery becomes too old and uneconomical for repairs. D. If there is a tea factory belonging to the same owners located nearby and all leaf could be accommodated there. E. Conversion of the type of manufacture. Example, leafy grade, CTC, etc., which makes the factory able to manufacture more leaf. In any of the above, the factory building itself could be utilized for some other purpose, as can be seen in several other such cases of closures. Some have become schools, some converted as stores, and one factory has even become a popular hotel. I could not understand why this particular one looked abandoned. Thank you for watching. See you in my next episode.